This is Sawyer Robertson, and you're listening to the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Welcome into the Bearcast on SicEm365.com. I'm your host, Grayson Grundhoefer, and today I am here with Colt Barber, and we're going to recap Baylor's 27-24 loss to Arizona State on Saturday night. A really rough game for the Bears, a game that I know a lot of fans are particularly upset with. I think most people who cover this team and spend a lot of time on this team, it's a game that you probably look back on and go, man, you know, Baylor let one get away. But at the end of the day, it's another home loss for the Bears, who are now 4-12 since the beginning of the 2022 season at home against Power 4 teams. It has been a rough stretch at McLean Stadium, and it just got worse on Saturday night, Colt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look back to that game and just think Arizona State was a better team. I don't feel like, that's the most frustrating part about it. And you can point to 3 turnovers to 0 turnovers. You don't force any turnovers after giving it up 3 times and being the difference in the game. I mean, that's truly what it was. You talk about the 4th down stop, another empty possession in the first quarter. Reminded me a lot of the Auburn game, not getting any points and then having to kick a field goal, a long field goal. It wasn't a red zone trip, but you kick a long field goal to make it 3-3. And, you know, it's just it was different, but it was the same. And I think that's ultimately the frustrating part. And you look through the stats, you know, we'll go over all of this, but there's no category other than the turnovers of why did Baylor lose this game? And you know, the offense struggled, but they still did more. And that credits majorly to the Baylor defense and what they were able to do defensively in this game and really step to the occasion. And the offense wasted that. And that's that's got to be so discouraging for the defense, for Dave Aranda, that all the challenges that they have faced, the defense does more than enough in this game to get you the win, put in bad situations the entire night, overcome it, and then the offense just spits a bit. And that was my biggest take. That was in my rapid reactions. Like, the defense was it wasn't a great defensive performance, but it was more than enough to get this win. And here we are, 2-2. A lot of winnable games on the schedule, but you just hope this isn't one of those hurdles that you look at and say they hit this hurdle and it wrecked them for the rest of the season.
I think the problem is now you're seeing a path towards how they can lose games. Sure. And that's kind of a big problem that I'm having. Like, when I go through the schedule, yeah, in theory, it's easy to say, like, oh, yeah, man, they should win that game. But it's like, the game that I just watched on Saturday was a game they should have won. They had no business losing that game. And I know that there are other factors, like Arizona State didn't take advantage of certain situations and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you turn the ball over like that at home, like, you're going to lose games. And this team has found ways to lose over the last, 3 years. And it's just been one of those things that's been reoccurring. And so as I look through the schedule, it's like, yeah, in theory, they should be able to go on the road and beat Cincinnati. But, like, do you have a ton of confidence in that? I don't. Like, I'm kind of 50-50 game. And then I look at their other games on their schedule. Well, yeah, they get UCF at home, but they're 4-12 at home against Power 4 teams. So there's like a 25% chance you're winning that game based on trends, based on how the seasons in the previous years have played out. Maybe it changes, but it just is one of those things where it's like, I don't know what to make of it. And I think that this team is right on that fine line of a situation where you now have to win games and you have to find ways to win games. They did it last year, but doing it year over year, when you're putting yourself in these holes, losing games that you shouldn't lose, it just becomes one of those things that these games get harder and harder to win as the gaps become a little bit narrower.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember we are every team in the conference now outside of 6. You've either played 1 or 0 games, and so it does feel like a big hole. It does feel like a big frustration, but I think maybe we have a different perspective on this game if Arizona State had not given up a late lead to Mississippi State. They're undefeated, top 25 team. But at the end of the day, it's about winning games you're supposed to win at home. And they were favored by 2.5. Maybe they're not favored in this particular game if Arizona State's undefeated. But the reality is Arizona State wasn't undefeated. And I don't know. I don't want to just harp on the home loss stuff because we talked about it so much. But it's also what is wrong with playing at home? Why are these issues? Why? And I don't even feel like they're slow starts. I mean, you're talking games where they've slowed down the games and it's 10-10 and it's, relatively close games, but they just are chasing so often at home in these games. And I don't really understand why that is the case. Why can't you get out to a 14? Why can't you get out to those leads? Why can't you? And it's reality. When's the last time that they had a lead in a Big 12 or a Power 4 game in a home game? I mean, like a lead of a 10-point lead. I mean, I don't know what that
the
actual
Kansas
answer
game last year where they put it all together.
Yeah, they put it all together, and then I guess the Oklahoma State game where they scored late after being up 3. It separated a little bit, but like they just haven't had the opportunity to control games. I remember that game was the hiding. That was the tipping point for that team. Like that was the high end performance of Kansas was playing really well and Baylor took it to them. But it like, man, I just like obviously I'm kind of stumbling over words here, but it's I don't know what the answer is right now, and I think because of the fact that went the opposite way of what I expected. You think the defense is going to struggle and the offense is going to, keep you in the game and potentially win you the game. But the frustration of you finally got it from the defense to a great extent, and the offense just didn't do it. Now the defense didn't force turnovers. They had a couple of opportunities to get turnovers, some balls on the ground, couldn't do it. But yeah, I know we're frustrated. I know the team's frustrated, but at this point, it's like you got to buckle up and figure out how to go and win 6-7 games. And I think if you don't, then it's a disappointing season. Like I'm not saying that that's the reality of what's coming. I'm saying if you want to meet the expectations that you set for this season, that's what you have to do. Go out and win 6 or 7 games now, and that's to put you at 8-4 for the season if you win 6 games. And that's disappointing. And I know, man, like the injuries, I mean, they're piling up on both sides of the ball at this point. I mean, starting with Dawson Pendergrass being a major issue right now, but then we saw Travion Barnes go out again. And saying that it's not easy just to flip that switch when you're having to replace guys constantly. I don't know what the outlet is to getting to those wins now.
Real quick, Sawyer Robertson has something to remind you about.
Want the latest information about your favorite team? Try out Sigum 365 premium content the next 3 months for just $5 by clicking the link below.
And now back to the Bearcast. Yeah, that's a frustrating part. I think that when you look at kind of the things that you said, kind of just breaking them down, it's just frustrating that every time that we talk about games like this, it's, the other team's making these plays at crucial times. And so, Raleek Brown had a fumble and the ball bounces right up to his chest and they're able to get on it. Josh Cameron fumbles the ball twice and the ball squirts out and goes right to Arizona State guys. I mean, even I think on the second fumble, I want to say it was Caden Siraki had a chance to just jump on the football and he jumps on the ball, squirts right out to a Arizona State guy and he gets a clear fumble recovery on that. We'll go through it. I mean, we can keep going through it. The Jacob Redding interception where his butt hits the pylon, so he's out of bounds, so it doesn't count as an interception when he should have had the pick clean because he jumped 3 points. So good. Yeah, that's 3 points. DJ Coleman on the deflection. It would have been a tough play, but like it's a play that for some reason other teams it's gravitating towards them. They make that play, right? Where the ball gets tipped in the air in the end zone and you dive for it, don't quite get it. And you're at home, you just aren't able to grab it. It's these little things that it's a great play. Like the play's there, the defense made the play, but you're not coming up with the turnover.
Yeah.
And then it becomes even more frustrating when you look into Dave Aranda talked about turnovers all week.
Yeah.
All week he talked about turnovers because of the Samford game. Oh, turning a corner, like making these plays. And then boom, you get hit with a 3-0 turnover margin at home. And it's just all of that just adds up and becomes more and more frustrating. I think the other part of this, and you mentioned it, Colt, about the offense, and I do agree with you. They had moments where they stalled out. They had moments where they struggled. But, oh man, I don't want to put this, I'm not putting this all on Josh Cameron, but like this offense is geared around momentum. And on those fumbles, you're talking about them getting first downs, which Baylor getting first downs really puts them in warp speed and really gains those momentum plays. And we can say they didn't play good, but what if those 2 drives turned into touchdowns? Like,
oh yeah,
you might blow out Arizona State. And so those plays just mattered a lot because it wasn't like you were getting stuffed. You had just gotten a first down or an explosive play, and now the ball's on the turf and Arizona State's coming up with it. Or Sawyer Robertson, you have 3 straight carries, you get 16, 17 yards on 3 carries to Bryson Washington. And then on 1st and 10, you just don't make a good throw. I think it might have been Dave Aranda said that it should have been checked out of because they had a good, the box was light. They should have just ran the football again. And you force a throw, it's turned over, and it's 1st and 10. It's just completely unnecessary to even chance that when you're running it the way that you are. I know you have a lot of thoughts on the run game. I do as well. But my overall point of this is just, man, if this team doesn't turn the ball over, I think they win this game by probably 2 scores, 2 touchdowns, maybe even more than that.
Yeah. And truthfully, it goes back to, and I love the aggression on 4th down, but you set the tone early in games. They kicked the field goal first, but they weren't going for it in that instance. But then you go for it in the second quarter. And I said earlier that it was in the first quarter. And you leave the points on the first quarter. But at that point, if you kick a field goal, you're up 6-3. Right? I have that right. When they went for it on 4th down and didn't kick the field goal in the beginning of the second quarter, it was 4th and 2 at the 17. You go for it. And one, I didn't agree with the play call, and that goes back to the run game. You throw it to Cole Wilson. Give me Josh Cameron on a slant. Put Ashton Hawkins in the game in the first half, whatever's going on with Ashton Hawkins not playing in the first half, to run that slant. Those are your guys that's money. And I love Cole Wilson, but that was not his position to be throwing that
Trig.
Ball.
Or Trig.
Or
run
it
the
off
ball
to Bryson Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, like you had just Bryson Washington had just run for 4 yards. And so like that was the offense. Yeah. The main overriding issue was the turnovers. But I was not pleased with, and I want to get into the run game because I think there's some underlying issues there that's just preventing that. But go up 6-3. Like, put a little game pressure on. Take a lead. You haven't had a lead. Take a lead in that game in the second quarter. Make Arizona State not feel like, oh, we just got a 4th down stop. Let's go score. And that's exactly what they did. 13 plays, 83 yards, touchdown, go up 10-3. Baylor did answer and tied it up 10-10, but it just changes the complexion of the game because if you're 6-3, they go down there and they go up 10-3, or 10-6. Then you respond and score a touchdown, and you're up at half, right? Like it's just, I love the aggression on 4th down. I don't love leaving points, especially when you just had a kicker that made a 53-yard kick. Like, just take the points, and that's more of a home thing, all right? I think you don't do that I shouldn't say that. You don't want to miss a field goal and not give up points on the road. Like, you want to take points on the road, but at home, man, like in a game like this where you've struggled at home, put a little game pressure on Arizona State. You didn't have a lead until the 17-16 lead at all, and then you gave it up immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, Baylor playing with a lead would kind of be nice because I think you look through the Auburn game and the SMU game, I'm not sure they've had the lead for...
They had 3-0 against Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, like, they haven't had leads at all. And so that does make you wonder, maybe you want to go up. I am a much bigger fan of going for it when you're at like the 30 or 40-yard line, or 40-yard line, like when you're in no man's land. I totally get it. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Because you don't have a lot of game from punting. You don't have a game from punting, like missing a field goal. Like, you're probably going to not. Yeah, I'm with you.
I think it's kind of one of those. I will say this, though. If they get the first down and then they score a touchdown, it's like, whoa, wow, what a play call. I think, honestly, I didn't care that they went for it. I hated the play call. They were running the ball so well. Like, hand the ball off. Run the football. Like, they were doing so well running the ball. And then you're exactly right. And then as much as Cole has done some really good things this year, I don't know that I would consider him their best one-on-one route runner, especially running a slant. Like, that ball needs to go to Trigger Josh Cameron in that situation.
Yeah, he gets jammed at the line, and now it got tipped, and I think there's some arguments that it should have been holding before the ball was ever tipped. But like I haven't seen the replay.
Defense.
Yeah, I haven't seen the replay, and so like I, anyways, I want to get into the run again. I think that's where this is leading me big time right now.
Okay,
I don't think that they trust Caden enough right now, and I think Bryson's not necessarily dinged up, but they just took a load off of him. Like that was a perfect game to run the football. Arizona State wasn't going to just buckle down and stop the run. From the beginning of the game, he was getting 5-6 yards of carry. The first drive, not the first drive, the second drive after Josh's fumble, he had 2 or 3 carries for 5-6 yards. Caden even had to run for that, and then it's gone until later in the game, and he busts off a 41-yard run, and it's just like. If they don't want to admit there's something wrong with Josh, they don't trust their backups, but like run the football. I like if he's playing, run the football, and that's what frustrated me in this entire game because it was there to go against a 4-man front, to have their defense playing. They're playing their cover 3. They're pressing at the line of scrimmage with their cornerbacks. Run the football like that. Like I wear them down a little bit, and so. You ultimately fumble twice with the receiver and you throw an interception with the receiver when you could have been running the football. And maybe if you get into it and they shut down and they say, okay, we are going to load up the boxes they're running, well, then it opens up some stuff. I just didn't like the game plan offensively in general. And if it, like Dave said, Sawyer should have checked out of the interception play, maybe there was a handful of those where he should have been checking out or sticking with the run, not saying, hey, this is a run call, but I'm gonna opt into throwing a screen here because the screen game. I wanted to see the screen game, but then it wasn't working. Stopped doing it, and it was very, very frustrating.
Yeah, I think there was some just kind of watching it. I think there was maybe an overreaction to what happened in the run game against Auburn and SMU, and so their game plan in this game might have been we're not going to be able to run the ball that well because. Haven't been able to in those big games, but they did. And so it's like, you got to lean on it. There's no reason Bryson shouldn't have, 25 carries in this game. And he only got to 17. Now, again, brings me back to my point. If they don't turn the ball over those 3 times, you're talking, you might have 15 more plays on your sheet. You might have 20 more plays. And so that's also that's why I just keep bringing it up. It's such a big factor. It also took away Baylor's ability to wear down Arizona State and their defensive front, which it just was disappointing because Baylor's offensive line played their best game of the season. They were moving people. They really played well. They turned it around. I mean, if you would have told me that Bryson Washington was going to average 6.5 yards per carry and go for over 100 yards, I would have said, okay, then Baylor's scoring like 35, 40 points in this game and probably going to win it pretty easily. Just not what I was expecting to see at all. Baylor should have leaned on it more. I agree with you. And they didn't even, I know there's a lot of complaints about Sawyer not running, and I still fully understand that. And I have my complaints about that too. But in this game, they didn't really need him to. They just needed to hand the ball off, hand the ball off, run some RPOs, mix it in, and they didn't quite do that. So it was disappointing for sure.
Yeah, and Sawyer's running isn't a, hey, let's go run 7 times a game with design QB power. But it's seeing that there's nothing downfield. He had a great opportunity in that game on a 4th down play just to tuck it and run. And maybe he only gets 9. He doesn't get the first down, but he took a low percentage throw down the field to a receiver that was breaking down the field. And it was a scramble drill, but he had one man to beat in the open field. And and I had the perfect angle from our seats, was the perfect angle of like, you had a chance to go get the first down.
Wasn't that only instant. 3rd down too? Didn't he have the chance to
It might have been 3rd down.
Yeah, I think he had a chance to get some of the yardage back and then go for it. And
was that the field goal? Was that the long field goal?
I don't remember exactly when it was, but they definitely had an opportunity there for him to tuck it and run and at least get 5 or 6 and make 4th down manageable.
But here's the deal. I sit and watch the game with my wife, and she hates me. And during the game, she hates me. But she asks, like, why? Like, and it was funny in this game. And sorry for any Sawyer's family. Well, she kept calling him Charlie, and I said, "Look, his name's not Charlie." She's like, "What?" Yeah, no. She's like, "Oh, there's a friend in my little girl's class named Charlie Robertson," and but I was like, "That's kind of appropriate because Charlie, he had some issues running the football. He ran it pretty well, liked to scramble and stuff, but like, it's noticeable. He's reluctant to do it, and it's not these design QB runs, but it's when he's keeping his eyes downfield so well. But at some point, and I wrote this in an article in my Between the Lines article, at some point he just has to go and help win games. And that's what the most frustrating part, because I think you saw it a little bit against Auburn, which they were chasing him around the field. That was a difficult game plan. But like, go make a play. And it's once or twice a game, but until he does that, defense is just, they know that he has the ability to, but it gets the more space between his last big run and his most recent. The threat of it, the impact that it has on the defense is minimal. He's going to have to show it. I personally don't think it's a Jake Spavital and Dave Aranis thing saying, "Hey, don't run." Yeah, he's protecting. They're protecting his asset of, you have the potential to be really good and be a draft pick. But I see too many quarterbacks in the college football game that go out and win games. And I don't feel like he's injured. Like, I think like we have this impression of him, running for 40 and 50 yards like he did Oklahoma State, Colorado last year. That's straight line speed. Like, that's where he's going to be his best. He's going to take off and run and scramble. He needs to do that. And it's not QB. It hasn't to be QB design, but it has to be, I'm going to scramble and I'm going to go at 15 yards. And make the defense stay honest in his ability to run. Because if everybody's just bailing in man coverage, you're doing yourself a disservice by not going and scrambling at times.
I mean, I fully agree, but I don't think that he's 100%. I don't. All I got to do is go.
He has opportunities to run, though. That's my biggest. I don't care. If you're 75%, you have chances to run, and you're not taking advantage of it.
For sure. I guess what I'm saying is like, go watch 2023 when he came into that Texas State game, or 2023 against Utah, where he's just running for his life. They weren't asking him to throw the ball as much, and he's just running, and he is so fast. So, I mean, he's relentless, like no fear whatsoever. And now it got him hurt a couple times. And so, I mean, obviously you kind of want to pull back on that, but he does not look as explosive as he did. Yeah. He just doesn't. And so, yes, I agree. You got to take what's there sometimes. You just do. And you can slide too. Like slide.
Dude, the best play right now, fine. the best play right now in college football QB run is the little barrel roll that all the quarterbacks are starting to do, because you don't lose the yards and it protects you. And it's not going to give you up from a big hit, but like, even if he's not, I see lesser athletic quarterbacks, regardless of what his injury status is. And I don't think if he has something, I don't think it's so debilitating that he can't run. I've seen lesser athletic quarterbacks go and make plays. Sawyer has to do it. And it's not disrespecting him and whatever's going on with this. But I'm beyond, like, this team has to be beyond that now. Like you had a chance to go and make plays in this Arizona State game, and you're not doing it. And that's the most frustrating part. Like, you're getting paid a lot of money, and I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, but you're getting paid a lot of money to play football right now. Like, go play, go make plays. And I'm off my soapbox. That's become a frustrating point. That's kind of a contention point for me, is we're trying to win games. This team's trying to win games. I want to see that more. But it's not just all on that either. Like, this entire team has to play better and put it all together for these games. And that's one component of it that I'm frustrated with.
Yeah, I mean, I even watched the TCU SMU game, and Josh Hoover, who is nowhere near the athlete that Sawyer is just getting pounded, but he's making plays with his feet now, which he never did. And it's just like, man, you just need a little bit of that. Like, you do.
Just to keep a defense honest.
Yes, you need some of it. And so now, aside from that, I thought Sawyer played really well. I thought he was really good in this game. I know the interception, he took the blame for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was his fault. I think it was his fault checking to that play. I don't know if the throw was his fault. I don't know if the route was the correct route. Don't know. I know that he's saying that it was his, so we can take him at his word for now. But Other than that, I thought he played really well. He made a lot of really good throws. Again, the momentum of the offense stalled with the turnovers. I think you would have seen him put up a much bigger game without those. But 3 touchdowns. But beyond that, it was like the big moments. He really rose to the occasion. That 3rd and 22 where he stepped up in the pocket and threw a laser beam to Lewis Brown was like, there haven't been very many Baylor quarterbacks who have been able to make that throw. That was really, really good. Stepping up through the pressure, finding him in the pocket like that. The throw to Trigg was a just dime, and Trigg made a great catch. Don't get me wrong, but he snagged that. But he threw it in the only place he really could, and it was a beautiful throw late in the game, trying to get your team back in the game. You make a great throw like that. He is a winner. In that regard, I feel super comfortable with him as the quarterback. I think it's just those things.
There's no doubt.
He is phenomenal. But it's just those little things with the entire offense. It all needs to come together. And I think that is probably one of the more disappointing parts is that, as we look forward into this game a little bit more, I think the disappointing part here is the offense has carried the team all year through the first 3 games. They've carried
all of last year, all of in the last year.
Yeah, they won them the SMU game, all offense. The defense really didn't do a whole lot in that game to prevent SMU from scoring. The offense had to carry them. The offense kept them in the Auburn game when they were getting ran over a lot of that game. And now you show up in this game and it's like, man, if the offense just does 80% of what it had been doing efficiency-wise, you win this game. And that's the hard part when it comes to trying to play complementary football. Both sides have to do their part, and the defense did theirs, and the offense just was slightly off with mistakes.
Yeah, and I think truly, in a lot of ways, the offense kind of lost itself with the game plan of Arizona State. Because I went in this game thinking, dude, if they're gonna play this cover 3 and keep everything in front of them, screen them to death. I think we saw that early. Jake Spavital went to it. The issue was Ashton Hawkins not out there for the first half. Ashton Hawkins is your best screen guy. Josh Cameron, Michael Trigg do a good job on the perimeter. He's usually your yard after catch guy, and they tried to do those to Cole a little bit. I can't remember if Kobe got one or not, but that was a frustrating part for me. Is that where's Ashton? What's going on? He had 1 catch for -1 yard, and that was
at the end.
And that was the guy for me outside of Trigg was like he's potentially having a big game in this game, and then we don't know. We don't have an answer. I don't even know if Dave Aranda mentioned that or addressed it, and I want it to be asked in the press conference. But that those things kind of just compound the offensive, the play calling, the decision making. Where's your personnel? Saw you're not running. There's so many layers to the offensive performance, and then it's also just built on the Samford game of just like the sluggish output in that game. But if teams are going to take that approach where everything's staying in front of you, there has to be a better game plan. And if you're not going to run the football, then I don't know, that's an issue. When Oklahoma State's going to be as much of a get right game as you have, Oklahoma State's going to be that this year. And unfortunately, it's in Stillwater, but I don't know what the approach is if teams are just going to drop into coverage and play you, 3 high, 2 high, if you're not going to run the football. I mean, that's scary to me. Exactly. But I'm like, Arizona's that's what I don't understand about this game. And that's why I wonder, Bryson has had a pretty heavy workload, and and maybe you're right. Maybe they don't have the fumbles right at the 50 or whatever it was at the beginning. Maybe he gets a few more touches. But it even when he was in the game and they were in the flow of the offense, scoring touchdowns, the ones that they did, it didn't really feel like he was that involved. It was kind of sporadic when he was getting touches. Now, he did leave a couple times with a stinger, and maybe there's dude, you've left twice with the stinger now. We've got to protect you. But then he busts off a 41-yard run, so it's kind of okay, he's in the game. If you're going to put him in the game, maybe he should be getting carries. So I don't know. It's just a frustrating offensive performance in general, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much. I think they can get it fixed. But it just sucked for this game. This was not the game when the defense did what it did to put you in position and to not have the offense be 80% of what they've been doing.
Right. Okay. Let's move to the defense here. this was a gritty performance. This was a really, really good performance by the defense. They were put in bad situations. I think the Josh Cameron fumble came on Baylor's side of the field, like around the 35-40. The interception was also on the 35 or the 40. So two, bad situations there. The Josh Cameron fumble was around midfield, the first one. So another not ideal situation from a starting field position standpoint. But I think my biggest thing with this defense was when Arizona State was driving down the field, Baylor was able to get stops. And that has not been the case all year long. They were able to force field goals. They were able to force they got a fourth down stop. They did so many good things in this game in that regard, because really throughout the entire first part of this season, it's been like, oh, the team's inside the red zone. Oh, touchdown. Like this is going to be a touchdown. I mean, Stanford's running the worst trick play imaginable and getting a touchdown. Like it just is what it was. And then they show up in this game, and that completely flips against a team that, quite frankly, I think this is probably the best rushing offense they're going to play the rest of this season.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
After this past weekend, I fully agree. I mean, I don't know what other team would be.
Right. And so now you're in a situation where it's like, man, all right, so Arizona State's the best rushing team you're going to play the rest of the year. They must have ran for like 5 yards carry in this game, right? Nope. 3.8 yards per carry. Baylor was so good against the run. It was a complete shift. It was quite shocking. And for them to not win this game while putting on that kind of performance against a team that went to Starkville, ran for 4.9 yards per carry against an SEC team, and in their other games just ran all over everybody, Northern Arizona and their other win. But in this game, Texas State, they ran all over those teams for over 6 yards carry, and then Baylor just stuffed them. It was super impressive. So for me, it was the red zone defense, and then it was the run defense, just taking big steps up in this game. And that bodes really well for you in the Big 12. If you want to win close games, you have to do those things well.
Yeah. I mean, that was, and I think a lot of that, and we're looking at the numbers, or I was looking at the numbers earlier. You had Jackie Marshall, 74 snaps, Devontae Tesno, 73 snaps, DK Kalu, 66 snaps. Those are your three guys on the defensive line. They played some peso, but the majority of their snaps. Ronnie Maggio, 10 snaps, Trent Thomas, 6 snaps, Adonis Freelo, 5 snaps. So Samu was 2 snaps. So like you're completely opposite of what you've been doing for the first 3 games. And now unfortunately you don't have Cooper Lands, which would have been nice. Those snaps
nice
would have
bonus.
been, it'd have been, but I was super impressed, and hopefully that's a good sign for all those guys being healthy. DK playing 66 snaps. I honestly didn't know what to expect from him playing, because he left the SMU game, didn't play against Sanford. So I'm thinking maybe he comes back and plays 30 snaps. But playing 66 snaps was that was encouraging for me to see. Now, how long can those guys hold up? Can they continue at that pace? Likely not. But I also think that you play Arizona State knowing we need our guys. We need our big guys to play a lot of snaps in this game. And they went exclusively with those 3, playing them with peso, but primarily your 3-man front. It was really, really good to see some semblance of a defensive line together out there. But yeah, I was super encouraged. I mean, Raleek Brown, he's good. And I was worried. About his ability to get out in space. But what Baylor did a really good job with was spilling everything to the outside. The interior defensive line and the edges for the most part. Sometimes Matthew Fobbs-White kind of got washed out, but Marion Winston did a good job of kicking everything out to the perimeter, and Raleek Brown could never get a corner. I mean, he did a couple of times, but I don't even know if they had one rush for over 20 yards in this game. Maybe Sam Levitt had one of those. But they did a really good job. And as much as we talked about that being such a weak point, SMU 3.7 yards per carry. Now you have Arizona State 3.7 yards per carry, or 3.8. Like that, there's something there. Can it be sustained with injuries that just keep on piling up? I don't know. But you feel at least a little bit better after this game. And truthfully, the SMU game, you saw it in the SMU game a little bit, but they got the 40-yard run late. But Arizona State knew we're coming in to run the football. And they pretty much, I don't think they're going to be very satisfied looking at the tape and saying, hey, how did we run the football? We got some yards, but we also had to do it a lot. to try to get those yards.
Right. And so I think this begs the question is, and I don't know that it begs the question. I think Baylor sold out to stop the run in some ways.
Yeah.
And that was the right decision. Now, on the flip side, Sam Leavitt did come into McLean Stadium and complete 69% of his passes. And that's not a great feeling. He was pretty much, he was pretty efficient like the entire night. But
I think
he
that's
missed
a trade-off.
a couple throws too.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And I know it's a trade-off for sure. And it was the right trade-off. Absolutely. But it's just a red flag for me because, again, it comes down to picking and choosing is what it feels like. It doesn't feel like this team can just play straight up and shut down both the run and the pass. So that's where they're at. And so that's my only concern here. Getting Cooper Lands back will be great for their defensive line, and that rotation should be able to help solidify things there. And the offenses that they're going to face here coming up, at least the next 2 weeks, are pretty bad. And it's going to be great chances for the defense.
Yeah.
If they're good against Baylor, then that's a Baylor problem.
That's my point. Yeah. That's like, it's so far. And I'm with you. Like, I think that Dave Aranda already naturally does that. Like, hey, we're going to take away your strength and then we're going to see. But the issue is that the fall off now is we're going to take away your strength, but what we're giving up might not be as strong. I think Baylor, I think this is twofold. And I wanted to talk about this. So this kind of point, they actually limited Jordan Tyson more than I thought they would. Now, they gave up the 61-yard pass, and that was a backbreaker. But I thought they did a pretty good job on Jordan Tyson. And then him getting the little cheap, quarterback slide reception, late hit by DJ Coleman. He does that. I've seen that on film. I don't really know how you defend that as a defensive back. What, you got a thought on it? You got an opinion on it?
That was a bad call. Go back and watch it. That was a bad call.
Okay, I haven't even gone back to watch it at this point.
He caught it in a slide, perfectly fine. But it's on a down where Baylor has to keep him from getting to the line because it was a third down play, I think, and he would have been short, I believe. Yeah. And DJ did not go helmet to helmet. He did not put his helmet into his back. I did not. I see this all the time in the NFL. I see it all the time in college. It was basically a hit to keep him from sliding forward and getting the generous call.
And what if he loses the ball in that contact? Is that a late hit if he doesn't complete the process of the catch?
He was down.
Right, but I'm saying you don't even give him the shot to make it. Like he just why doesn't every receiver just slide as they catch the ball?
It was weak.
I haven't watched it again. But anyways, that's Jordan Tyson. That's my point on Jordan Tyson is that I thought Baylor did a fairly good job of limiting him.
He had make it catch easy though.
Yeah, he had a touchdown. He had a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they made him work for what they got. And then LeVar Thornton going out, like talk about injuries, him going out was not saying Reggie Bush didn't play well, Williford didn't play well. I actually thought they played deep. They made a couple plays.
I thought Wilford played pretty good. Him and Caden Jenkins.
Caden Jenkins played a set. Yeah, he was.
Man,
I was very impressed.
He had one hit that I was so impressed with on that. I think it was like a 3rd and 1 where he blew up the play. It was super.
Man, and it just makes me, in general, like talking about this, it's like defense finally did something. I mean, what was the score? 17-16 with 9 minutes to go.
Yep.
And then they give up the long third down, and that was brutal because it was like this. I don't even know who that. I don't even think that dude had played the entire game, and he ran
right by Jacob Redding.
Yeah,
right
and that was rough.
That's his man.
And I feel and Jacob's usually that's the guy that you feel really good about being in the correct position, and they didn't score on that play, but it set them up to score to go back up after Baylor had taken the lead, but. It just underlies this entire game is the defense finally felt pretty good. Like not good, but you felt, hey, that's what you got to do. And then
they made plays, man. Like it's like we talked about. It's like, can you come up with the plays? It's like Kylan Reed punching the ball out from Malik Brown, but it bounces right up into his chest. It's like Tyler Turner on a 60-yard shot to Jordan Tyson, and he's breaks it up in one-on-one coverage. Awesome play.
Yeah.
Jacob Redding cutting on the ball should have been an interception. Just didn't quite.
If he catches it clean, if he catches it clean the first time, it's interception.
Had another pass break up across the middle of the field. Like there were guys making plays. It just it wasn't the play. And then it's like you get to the end of the game.
Oh, I saw it coming, man.
Yeah,
I saw
I
it
know.
coming.
But
like it was just like the odds are against you. You've played
Yeah.
this well until this point. Arizona State has 16 points, and you're thinking this was a game you might give up 30 plus, and you're halfway there in the fourth quarter. And I was like, even at 3rd and 13, like it's just or whatever it was
3rd and 13.
But I was like, this is the pill right here. Like they give these up. And sure enough, it wasn't 14, it was 61. And that was tough. But yeah, you're right. You see the steps being made, but it's like 2 steps within a game, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's exactly what this game was.
Yeah, and I mean, again, very, very proud of what I saw from the defense. And I think it does lead you to think that, at least these next 2 games, they should win these next 2 games. Like, just being very frank, like
they're favored by 17. What is it? 17-point line spread over Oklahoma State.
I don't even know what it is. It could be a million, and everyone would probably take Baylor because Oklahoma State looks so bad. But then it's like, good. Man, what if they show? I mean, if they show up and lose that game, I don't
even want to talk. If they lose that game, I'm not. If they lose that game, I don't even like. To me, it's inevitable what's going to happen. I don't even want to say it on this podcast, but like if they lose that game, that's like if we're talking about Mike Gundy needing to be fired, and then you go lose to Mike Gundy. Yeah. Well, that tells you what needs to happen
exactly
to me.
So
like that's
no, and I'm with you. That's a different conversation. I even think the Kansas State game, like Kansas State's not good, and it's at home again. Like, man, you just cannot lose these next 2 games, and then it's also like, hey, man, you're 4-2 going into that TCU game. Like the season's kind of in front of you. Like the season's there, and you have a bye week before the TCU game. Like you have a chance to kind of get right. These next 2 weeks, they really need to figure that out. But I do think the defense taking this step forward was very encouraging. Couple other notes here. Travion Barnes goes down early in this game. Another injury for this defense. You mentioned LeVar Thornton got hurt as well. Travion is, I would assume he's probably done for the year.
Yeah. So I think the anticipation, him and Phoenix Jackson, which it's a silver lining. You get those guys potentially back for next year and let them be within the system. But you brought in those 2 dudes to be your basically second and third linebackers this year. Kylan, obviously, with Kylan being your top 4, and now you're back to what you had on the roster prior to the transfer portal. So that's rough.
Keaton and Kylan are your guys now. I do think we will see maybe Caleb Burns. I think Jeremy Evans actually came and played a little bit, but very curious how they handle that whole situation. I think everything else is seeming pretty solidified. You get, okay. If Carl Williams comes back, that could add something. I actually still think they need him. And I can't believe I'm continue to say this, but like if he is actually healthy, I think he can be a difference maker for them as the season progresses. And he's just not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, that's like when does that come? And then it's like DJ Coleman's played pretty well. And it's
I wouldn't play him at the star. I'd play him at field safety, even though I know Redding and Turner have had moments. There's just
if nothing else, it's the potential of him being that. But you've been out for this long. You're in street clothes in every game. You're more than likely not doing anything at practice, from what we know. And it's how long does it take you to get back in? And maybe we come back and Dave Aranda's like, hey, this is released Monday morning, and Dave Aranda's press conference is going on at some point. But maybe he's back in practice today. But like I don't know. I don't know. It just scares me. He hasn't played enough. He played 5 snaps against SMU, and it's just like, what's the risk? Like, I don't want to just throw him out there to play 50 snaps in his first game back.
75-yard touchdown in those 5 snaps.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming that on him. I'm just saying, like, how long does it take you to get back up to speed and game ready? And when you have a guy who has been, Redding had the issue with the blown coverage, right? But like, he's been serviceable. He's made plays for you, and at this juncture. I mean, I want Carl to play. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, where do you plug him in? When does he get his reps? Because every game, every snap is so critical right now.
It is. I think he and Tyler Turner have both gotten better. Just this season going on, they both have gotten better.
Well, and they're young guys too. You got to remember that they're young guys. So you have 2 sophomores, 2 redshirt sophomores, and one a walk-on, now a scholarship player. So I'm bullish on the outlook for the future of the position, especially when you talk about Carl. Maybe he gets a red shirt this year, the 5-year rule, but like there's some guys in that room that you can feel excited about. I just don't know what does it look like for the rest of this year. Like what's their high end for this year? We don't know.
Right. Another thing that we talked about going into this game was, is Keaton Thomas going to play a bunch of snaps today?
Yep.
Is he going to play all the snaps? Well, he played 85 snaps, which I think was all the snaps. So he didn't leave the field. Devin Bobby didn't leave the field.
Yeah.
Those two guys have been staples.
It was great to see the defense in general, the kind of the guys that you anticipated being your starter outside of Cooper Lands. Even Kylan Reed was your starting linebacker, your starting quote rover, what they changed it to now on the original depth chart. This is the first time that entire defense has really played together. Cooper Lands being the co-starter with Devontae Tezino, or Tesno, however you say that. I'm always confused on it. But it's like that was kind of your guys. And that was good to see their first full game together and not rotating in and out. Obviously, Phoenix Jackson, Travion Barnes having injuries played into that some. But I thought overall the defense played well, and it was just to have them all on the field together was really encouraging.
Yeah, so now, it's kind of just looking forward a little bit. We're going to talk about Oklahoma State later this week. It's hard to move on from this game without talking about just the program as a whole, because I do think that's been the conversation. You're seeing former players weighing in on the situation, which is interesting. You're seeing fans obviously having their opinion. I'll just say this, I think, and we've talked about a lot, it's losing games at home is worse than losing games on the road. And when you continue to show up at your home stadium and you're losing football games, it's really tough to get the fan base to buy in. And I saw some tweets, comments and things saying that McLean Stadium is not a good atmosphere. Like that,
when
the
you're not
crowd's
winning,
not
it's
great.
not.
But that's the reason why it's not, because you're not winning and you're not putting together wins. You're not giving people a reason to be super excited about these home games when you're 4-12 at home against Power 4 teams, and then you're 9-8 on the road. It's like, dude, like you got to change up something. Like they can't continue to do the exact same schedule, same regimen. Like something has to change for their next home game, I guess, against Kansas State in 2 weeks, because they can't afford to lose any more games at home. Like just from a fan base, from a broader view of the program perspective, like it's a problem. It's a cultural problem right now. It's been something that has been lingering for far too long. And when you lose games like this, where I think almost everyone in that stadium, aside from Arizona State fans, really felt like Baylor was far and away the better team, and you still lost. And that should not be happening at this stage. And that is a reason why fans are upset. And I 100% understand it. I 100% definitely understand it. Does that mean that people should be, automatically rushing to call for Aranda's job? I personally don't think so. I think there's a lot of season left, and I like seeing the full picture before making those decisions. But I will say, you lose one of these next 2 games, and we might be having a different conversation during that bye week. We'll see.
Yeah, well, no, but it's not just because of losing one of those games. It's what it tells you about your team.
Yeah.
And so, like, Kansas State, Oklahoma State right now are not good. And just looking at the ESPN FEI or FPI, whatever it is, for the Baylor-Oklahoma State game, on the road, the percentage, the impact that it has on this algorithm, if you're the road team, is significant. Like,
well, you get 3 points by Vegas, basically, for being the road team.
Right, but playing with that on the ESPN analytics, switching from a home game to a road game changes it a ton. But Baylor has 84.6% chance to win at Oklahoma State. One, that says how bad they are. I think, 2, it speaks to a little bit of the potential of the metrics still probably like Baylor in a lot of ways. You look at that game against Arizona State and what they did, that feeds into the advanced analytics a little bit. The turnover stuff obviously plays into it and hurts it, but it wasn't a terrible performance even with the loss. But that's 84.6. And then you turn around with the Baylor game at home against Kansas State. And Baylor right now is percent chance to win that game at home is 62.1. So maybe on a neutral site that's even, but Kansas State hasn't looked good. And if you go in and lose one of these games, it tells you more about how you match up with Cincinnati, how you match up with I don't want to say UCF right now. I still don't think UCF is that good of a team. Utah is right now, like, I don't believe in that offense at all after watching them in another week. Like, I know Tech's defense, but their defense Utah's defense is going to be good. At Arizona looks very challenging just from what they've been able to do. And you mentioned it earlier. It's every data point, every game makes you look at each game differently now. And Baylor losing this game and beating itself and the offense still sputtering makes that game at Arizona look a lot different. And then Houston at the end of the year at home, that's a game that you can't lose. Houston looks better, but you can't lose that game. You can't. They're like, even if Baylor goes into that game at 6-5, and that's your 7 wins is your ultimate goal, you can't lose that game. And say Houston's bowl eligible at that point, like, you can't lose the game at home to Houston. And if you go into that game and you lose that game, that's a nail in the coffin for me. Like, I'm that's not acceptable at this point. But yeah, it starts with the Oklahoma State game. If you don't win that game by covering the spread at 17 points, then I'm gonna be frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many home losses that they can really have. I mean, this is. I mean, you get Kansas State, UCF, Utah, and Houston. Man, like, I mean, maybe Utah, but like, you should at least be 3-1 in those games. Like, you need to give the fan base something at home. They did it towards the end of last year with that run they went on. Beat a bunch of teams that, aside from TCU, that were pretty mediocre.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this, and sorry to cut you off. Like, do you see which team on the schedule right now is better than Arizona State that Baylor faces?
Well, I was very high on Arizona State at the beginning of the year. I still think they're a good team. I think they're very well coached. So, I mean, I would say that they're the best team left on the schedule. And I think Auburn would beat every team on their schedule as well, who Baylor lost
to.
And
that's what.
TCU at TCU is probably another level because you have to go on the road.
Which we're going to find out. Arizona State's favored over TCU right now for this next
Tempe,
week,
though.
Right? But they're favored. So like I think there's that. I'm with you. It's kind of a similar type game. You play on the road at TCU. They're playing at Tempe. TCU challenges you differently. I'm not that their running back was not playing against SMU. I don't know if you heard what happened with him. Why Barnes didn't play against SMU?
Minor injury.
But he was out for that game. But they haven't really, even with him, besides the North Carolina game, they haven't committed to the run a ton. So I'm anxious to see what happens with them. They just challenge you different than Arizona State. Like, it's just a much different matchup. But that's the only team right now. Like, Utah, like, their offense was so like weird leading up to the Texas Tech game. Like, if you watch them against UCLA, they rarely threw the ball down the field. You watch them against Wyoming, rarely threw the ball down the field. I'm thinking, is this just a schematic deal because they're able to run the ball right now? And then they got it against Tech, and that dude couldn't complete a 4-yard pass in he was not a good. Dampier was not a good downfield passer. So that's a game that you get them at home, and your defense, say it improves. That should be a game that you win at home. Even though Utah was just right, they just fell completely out of the top 25 after that loss. So you shouldn't lose another game at home if you want this program to be where it should be.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do think that Utah's a team that has to run the ball, and Baylor has allowed teams to run the ball. I know they didn't this week. We'll see how that continues and progresses. I think it's also going to be interesting because over these next few weeks leading into that Utah game, they're really not going to face a very good rushing offense. UCF might be the best rushing offense that they will face leading into that Utah game.
Have a good running quarterback.
Yeah, but now it kind of flips a little bit because you're playing a TCU team, and yes, TCU challenges you in a different way. And specifically, there's not a single team Baylor's faced this year that's going to challenge them like TCU through the air, like with their receivers, the way they'll spread you out. It's just a completely different matchup than what Baylor's faced. Also, they have a pocket passer, so that will be new because Baylor's about to face two more.
Nice, a little bit less stressful. But
I mean, this weekend they're going to face a pocket passer, and they should do very well against Oklahoma State with Zane Gonzalez or Zane Flores. And then the next week, obviously, Avery Johnson. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what else I can say other than Avery Johnson has been really bad. He shouldn't throw for 100 yards against you. He hasn't ran well because everyone's just taking that away and forcing him to be a pocket passer. Like,
he doesn't have a lot of He didn't have
he
a lot
hasn't
around
been
him.
good. And it's
Yeah.
like, you can't let him look good all of a sudden in McLean Stadium just because it happened to you. Like, that can't be the excuse. It can't be you turn around to the press conference and everyone's like, man, Avery Johnson's just a good player. Like, he had a good game. It's like, but he hasn't done it all year. Why is he doing it to you? That should not happen. That should not be an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Baylor shouldn't lose another home game. I think that's kind of unacceptable. They should win the next 2 games. I mean, we'll preview them and everything, but just sitting here looking at, they should not lose these next 2 games. It should give them an opportunity to get on track going into the bye week and then going into a matchup in a game that it's like, hey man, you want to actually be a contender in the Big 12, you have to go win in Fort Worth. Like, it just is what it is now after losing to Arizona State.
Yeah. On Avery Johnson really quick, my only hesitancy to write him off is that I think Arizona's defense is going to end up being pretty good, which they didn't play this last weekend. So there's a gap of this. They've kind of taken a step up statistically in a lot of areas. I think he has that potential. Like, I do believe that. My biggest question mark about their offense is what is around him. I don't know what they have. I mean, they brought in Duran Bradley, who was like at Tech and then left and went to Illinois or somewhere.
Jace Brown is their best weapon.
It is, and he had but their rushing game has just been so wonky. Like, he just cracked. Jace Brown was their leading rusher, and he had 1 carry or 2 carries. Yeah, it was 1 for 75 and a touchdown, and they had 105 yards rushing against Arizona, so 30 yards outside of that run. I mean, that's for Kansas State is nuts, and they're reeling a little bit. So it's how do they play this weekend? I don't even know who they play.
They play UCF in Manhattan, and they're a 4.5-point favorite.
Yeah. Well, I still don't know about UCF though. Like, we know UNC is not good. We know they're not good, and UCF beat UNC kind of like what TCU beat them. So I don't know about Kansas State. Like, I never want to write Kansas State off. I feel like they're going to rally a little bit, but nothing I've seen from this. They should probably be 0-4 this year. I mean, to be quite frank, they should be 0-4.
I mean, they lost to Army, and Army just lost to North Texas. And North Texas, I know, can put up points and whatnot, but like, that's not a good loss. Like, losing to Army.
Oh no, they should have lost to North Dakota too.
They should have.
They got. I mean, Avery Johnson bailed them out of that game. They're late. I mean, they had to score, which they scored. They were down 35-31, and then they ended up scoring. Avery Johnson had, I think, was it a rushing touchdown or was it a passing touchdown?
One or the other. They gave up 35 points to North Dakota, so Baylor should be able to score 38 points on them if they want to. And Kansas State shouldn't be scoring 30 on you. They haven't done it to anyone except for North Dakota. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I know that goes back to last year too. They get better, but
that kind of goes back to the end of last year too with Kansas State. Their struggles started the end of last year. So yeah. I mean, I'm not like super down on the outlook of the rest of the season. This game's frustrating because I think it set the high end bar. Obviously, you can't go undefeated in conference now, but you win that game, and the outlook, the data points for the rest of the season just look a lot different, and you just feel differently. You have more confidence as picking these games. But what's important to remember is that nothing really changes about any of these teams' makeup. It's just who do you play, how do those games play out, and then ultimately when you play the games, how do you match up? I think Baylor matches up fairly well. The TCU game kind of scares me the most of the entire bunch because of their offense, and they create havoc on defense. Utah just doesn't scare me a ton because of their offense, but their defense is good. I think Baylor can win every single game, but does that happen? Like, I don't know. Like, I think you're going to have a lot of one-possession games, and what plays out, it's for anybody to guess.
Yeah, I think they can win every game on the schedule, but I don't think they will. I think that's what the Arizona State game tells you more than anything else. It's like, this team's probably going to give away games. How many is the question? But yeah, I do see that kind of in their future. But the good news is you get 2 opportunities against 2 teams that are reeling right now. These next 2 weeks, you get a chance to get to 4-2. I mean, if you just really take advantage of your situation, go out, have good weeks of practice, stack some wins, go into the bye week with confidence, that can change a season. And we saw it last year, going on that run at 2-4 versus going on that run at 4-2 is drastically different. If they go on that run this year, I mean, they're in the Big 12 championship, I think. Like, I think they would get there.
Yeah, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen in these next 2 games, but you got to remember when they lost those games to Utah, that Utah team ended up not being that good, which they faced a Cam Rising team, and then you ultimately lose the on the Hail Mary to not on the Hail Mary, but that game against Colorado. But then Iowa State blows you out before you come back and win all these games. This Auburn, we just saw Auburn do. Look, I like Oklahoma a lot. Auburn held them to 22 rushing yards. So like we can talk about Baylor's rushing game against Auburn and what all was done, but like Auburn's a pretty good team. And where were they in the top 25? Have you seen where Auburn ended up in the top 25 this week?
But they're clearly a top 25 team.
Yeah, like if they I don't know how far. I'm sure they fell a little bit, or maybe they stayed the same. They're an SEC team, so they might have just stayed the same. Oh man, no, they fell out.
Yeah.
They're number 26. But yeah, that's kind of silly. But they shut down Oklahoma's offense, and what this revival of an offense that they had. What all that was to say is Baylor's losses right now are much different than they were a year ago against Arizona State, a team that was in the CFP last year, and to Auburn. This isn't Utah, Iowa State. Colorado obviously won 9 or whatever.
And BYU was pretty dang good too.
Yeah, but it was like that one. They're 2-4. Baylor shouldn't be 2-4 this year. This is just a different vibe to me, like than what that team last year was facing. Like the uphill battle that team had to go over. The over the hill that they had to get. Like is much different. I think this team's much closer than that team was. I think this team can take that same type of step.
I do too. I think the only difference is I don't think the back half of the schedule is going to be as easy.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the tough. Yeah. That's the difference. Is last year they took advantage of a very weak schedule aside from the TCU game at the end, and Tech on the road at Tech wasn't easy last year. But I think in general this year they're probably going to have a few more pretty good teams. But aside from Tech. No one's really just like, man, that team is super good. Like Tech looks like the most complete team right now. Looking at the other teams in the league, I'm like, man, you could tell me that they end up 7-5, or you could tell me they end up 9-3, and it really wouldn't shock me too much.
Yeah. I mean, it changes from week to week, but Baylor has to get a win against Oklahoma State. I mean, that's where it starts. And honestly, this is kind of a game. I know Arizona State lost to Mississippi State, but like, this can kind of tell us about Baylor in a lot of ways and how they bounce back for this game. And do you beat a bad team? Like, can you go and beat a bad team? If this team
bad
team.
Beat
this ain't a trap game.
Yeah,
this is not a trap game. That Kansas State's more of a trap game than this. Kansas State still kind of has that potential. Oklahoma State's just bad. They were bad last year, and they're bad this year. And Baylor has to go in and dominate that game. And if you don't win that game by your spread, 17 points, then you have a lot more concerns throughout the rest of the season.
Absolutely. So Colt and I will be back later this week with the premium mailbag episode. Also our preview for the Oklahoma State game and our best bets at the end of the week, which did not go well this week. So 2 down weeks in a row, but we're going to get back on track this upcoming week. But thanks everyone for listening. This has been the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Join Sikkim 365 Premium on a $1 for 1 month trial to read our experts' notes and insights. Know about high school commits, off-season transfers, coaching staff changes, and so much more before the rest. Also, download the Sikkim 365 app on your iPhone today to get instant notifications of breaking news, read up on the latest inside info, easily interact with other Baylor fans on our forums, and get alerts for anything published by your favorite staff members.